Hey, you guys. Okay, so I'm back. And so I did want to, I'm going to put in the chat right quick. Also, well, that's the title. But if you look down in the description box, you'll see my Calendly link. So who am I? I know we just talked a few minutes ago, but for those of you I've not been blessed to meet, I'm Garlinda Price. I'm the broker and owner of Fusion Insurance Group. And this is going into my 4th year in selling life and health insurance. And I wanted to do a quick, video on final expense agent versus life insurance broker. Oh my gosh, if you want to start a war in the insurance industry, in the insurance world, and between brokers and agents, tell somebody that it's better to be, hold on a second, tell someone it's better to be a final expense agent over being a broker. And tell a broker that it's better to be a final expense agent. You're going to have a war on your hands, right? Because everybody is going to say something different. Everyone is going to think something differently. And it just is what it is. But I'm here to tell you, to me, from my personal opinion, having been in the industry for this time frame, that to me, one is not better than the other. They're just different. Right. And so what's going to make the difference is what your goals are, where you see yourself going, what you want your business to look like, what area of the insurance industry you want to focus on. But these are the comparisons that I want to share and make with you on today, right? Don't listen to people when they say, boo his final expense, or boo his being an insurance broker. You would hear a lot of people say, and especially those in higher positions within an IMO or higher positions within a company, if they're on the final expense side, they'll say that all insurance brokers are broke, right? Or close to being broke. That's not true. Then you'll hear insurance brokers say final expense agents only have that one product and they can't help as many people, and the product's so expensive, and they drive down and or try to talk down the value of what that person is presenting. So I'm just here to give a balanced view, having been on both sides, of what I think. And when you come into the industry, you're going to have to figure it out for yourself, right? So I'm only sharing with you Garlinda's experience. So I've been a broker, I am a broker, and I love being a broker. And I'm thinking in my mind that I'll always be a broker. Why is that? Because even in real estate, I'm a broker, right? So the difference in being a broker in life insurance and health insurance is that when you're a broker, you represent multiple carriers, right? So that means that when you come into the life and health insurance industry, you can write business and you can go to several different carriers to get and do business for your clients. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. So, and I'm a non-captive agent. So those are two really important questions to ask. The first important question to ask when you start selling life insurance, or if you're already selling life insurance, is, am I a captive agent? Because if you are, you can't be a broker. You can only work with that company, sell their products, and whatever their book of business is or their product portfolio is, that's all you can do. Let's give you an example. State Farm, Allstate, Progressive, maybe Liberty Mutual. I haven't looked into it enough to say, right? But when you work for companies like that, you can only sell their products, their book of business, and you're captive to them, and they own your book of business, right? That to me, I don't ever want to be a captive broker or a captive agent. And there was a company I was first with that I didn't realize they had a hybrid, and there was hints of captivity, right? Anytime I hear captive, I don't want to be captive, right? So not to belabor that point, but you want to ask the question when you're interviewing with different companies, are you captive as a broker with them or an agent with them, or are you non-captive? Okay, that matters. So when you're looking at life insurance and you're a broker, and let's say you work with our team here at Family First Life, that's who my IMO is, right? That means that I'm contracted with about 6 different companies. And the reason why that's important to me is because I know that if someone has AIDS, or if someone has a CPAP machine and they're on oxygen, or if someone needs an accidental policy and they're over a certain age, if someone has had cancer, if someone has any, just name a scenario. If someone's a diabetic and they're an insulin diabetic and not a pill form diabetic, there are going to be some companies that they can't write with, and there are going to be some insurance companies that they can't get insured with. And you are going to meet people in your journey that appear to be uninsurable, right? I'm gonna write myself a note because that's where we want to touch on with final expense, right? You'll meet people that appear to be uninsurable. And so if you don't have a product for them or a company for them, you can't then help that client. Okay. So that's one reason to me why it's important to be a broker, is because I can shop around to find the best scenario for my client, and I'm not limited in who I can help. I can help someone this age 0, meaning a baby, right? Because up until they're 1, they're months. Their ages go by months, right? So that's why they say 0. So from age 0 up to age 85, you can write insurance, and as a broker you can shop around to find the best price. That means you can fit most budgets, right? That means that you can shop around to see who will give them coverage if they have all this stuff that's been going on with their health. And it opens the door of opportunity for you. Okay, so that's the difference between being an insurance broker. And people will say, well, that's too much to choose from. I'm just giving you the scenarios, right? So as a life insurance or health insurance broker, people may say, and you may hear them say, it's too much to keep up with, and your money's spread all over the place. And if you have 6 different carriers and you're focused on 6 different insurance carriers, then your money is split 6 different ways. But to me, that means that you have 6 different profit centers. I choose to look at it differently, right? So it really is how you see it, how you view it, how you look at it. But can you be excellent at all 6? No. When you come into the insurance industry, you need to find your favorites, right? And you're going to. Once you start writing, and once you write consistently, and once you see who your clients are, and once you fall in love with the product that works for you, whether that's term, or whether that's whole life, or whether that's final expense, whether that's Medicare, long-term care, like, you're going to find the thing that you love. You're going to fall in love with it, and you're going to say, this is where I want to niche. This is where I want to focus. This is where I want to stay. My favorite's whole life, right? So you're going to come in and you're going to find that, and then you're going to figure out, okay, from these 6 or 7 carriers that I can write, it could be IULs for you, right? From these 6 or 7 different carriers that I have, I want to focus on writing business for these few companies. And then you just narrow it down, right? So when people say that brokers are broke or don't make money, it's not true, right? That's just such a broad statement about everybody, because they want you to think that final expense is the only way. And when when brokers say final expense is too expensive, that's because that broker may be trying to recruit you or sway you to their side, and they only want you to think a certain way. It's not true. You're going to be successful when you put in the work. What does the word of God say in Proverbs 14:23? In all labor, there is profit. Mere talk leads only to poverty. That's what the word says, right? And then it also says, and I think it's Proverbs 13:21, but don't quote me on it. And it says that money earned little by little grows over time. So and not only that, it says that the hands of the diligent shall bear rule, right? So that means that you're going to rule and be wealthy and have money consistently when you work your business consistently, when you do the work, when you put in the effort, when you put in the time. Doesn't matter if you're a broker or an agent. Right? Doesn't matter if you're a life insurance broker with a bunch of different carriers, or if you're specifically a final expense agent and you represent this one company. Okay. The other thing about being a life insurance broker, and if you have multiple carrier contracts, and let's say you're trying to spread yourself thin and you want to write with all of them, think about the incentives that they have, right? So every insurance carrier has trips that you can earn. They have trips you can win. They have bonuses you can earn. They have bonuses that you can win. And when they have these trips and when they have these bonuses, that means that if you focus on one specifically, or you focus on a few of them specifically, or you focus on 2, you have a better chance of getting to those incentives, and the better chance to get into those trips, and a better chance to get into those bonuses if you focus on 1 or 2 carriers, right? Because I will agree that if you're focused on 6 different carrier contracts, you're not going to win the incentives and the awards because you're spread too thin. Hold on a second. My mom is calling. Just a second. You're going to be spread too thin. Let me just tell my mommy I'm on a video. Okay, so that's one. So you want to think about when you're coming into life and health insurance, or if you're already in life and health insurance and you're trying to decide, do I want to move? Do I want to stay with the company where I am? Is there a better opportunity for me over here? What is the better thing to do? That's what you want to look at. Now, there's also a difference in compensation or commissions that I've seen between final expense brokers and life insurance brokers, right? I've noticed that the commissions or the starting comp plans are a little bit lower in the final expense industry. You can still grow really high. I'm just saying that for me, as who I've researched and talked to, I've noticed that the comp plan was a little bit lower. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just making a point, right? And I've noticed that as a life insurance brokers, the comps are a little higher, but you have to know that every carrier doesn't pay you that comp. And what I mean by that is, as a life insurance broker, let's say that they bring you in at 100% comp, right? You can get 100%, but it's only with a few of the carriers. And I'll give you an example. So you could maybe make 100% with American Amicable, but not all of American Amicable's products pay you 100%. Some of them pay you 50%. Some of them pay you 65%, right? Some of them pay 30 or 40%. So every carrier, your contract might be 100%, but your product compensation is going to be different. That's the difference between final expense. And we'll talk about that in a second if I don't forget. Let me write myself a note. Okay, so that's one thing. So when you look at becoming a broker, my personal opinion is that it gives you access to another pool of money that you wouldn't have access to as a captive agent, but it also gives you access to another pool of money that you wouldn't have access to if you were just doing final expense. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about a middle hybrid. So let's say I'm with Family First Life, right? And I want to write with Lincoln Heritage, or I want to write with Senior Life. Because I'm non-captive with Family First Life and I'm a life insurance broker, I can also go and create a licensing agreement, or put my licenses and also fall under Senior Life, Lincoln Heritage. I can't think of any others. Those are just the two that stand out in the final expense industry for me. You can write with them, right? So as a hybrid, you could be a broker and still be a final expense agent. So when people say you have to basically do one or the other, or they make it appear that it's one or the other, that's not true, right? So as long as there's nothing in your contract that says you can't do this over here, you can do it. There's one thing you can't do, and now I'm just going to talk about final expense, but one thing you can't do is, let's say I'm with American Amicable at Family First Life, and I want to go be with American Amicable at another company. You can't do that, right? And American Amicable's sister company is Occidental, right? So I don't know if you can be with Occidental and American Amicable, so don't quote me on that. But I know that you can't have two IMOs or two marketing companies that you're with for the same carrier. Okay. So at that point, you do want to figure out which one is going to pay me the highest comp and where am I going to have the greatest level of success. But as a life insurance broker, you can earn multiple trips, you can earn bonuses, you can attend all their different trainings, you can learn about all their products, you can specialize, and it's just a larger pool of opportunity and a larger pool of business. Well, now as a final expense agent, this is what people say is the downside, is how expensive it is, right? So I'm only going to talk about Lincoln Heritage because that's the company that I've written business for. Nothing negative to say about Lincoln at all. I think they're an awesome, I'm not talking bad about anybody, I'm just sharing with you my expenses. I think they're an amazing company. Did I think their products were more expensive than some of the other whole life products that I had written? Yes. But where did I see the value? Right? Because now people will tell you, oh, it's so expensive, but they might not talk about the value. The value is that you can write a whole life policy, let's say an Eagle Premier policy with America. You can write a whole life policy with that company, and that's what you get is a whole life policy, right? But what they don't tell you is that it doesn't come with funeral planning. It doesn't come with their funeral home advantage. It doesn't come with someone calling you or you calling them in the event of a loved one and saying that Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Neptune has passed away, and now Mr. Neptune has passed away, and now you can hand off your policy you don't even have to hand off your policy. You can talk to Lincoln Heritage, to that department, and say that Mr. Neptune passed away. And what are they going to do? They're going to take it from there. They're going to help shop casket prices. They're going to help shop with planning. They're going to help you figure it all out, right? All you're doing is showing up to that loved one's funeral with a purse, with a pocketbook. Why? Because they set it all up. They negotiate all the pricing. They make sure that you don't get taken advantage of by the funeral home. Okay, so there's, I open the door for my mom. Hold on. I'm on a live video. Are you okay.
She put her new label on it. I took a picture of the label and of that and sent it to Mary.
Okay, I'll give it back to you, and I'll call you when I'm finished.
I don't want it back.
Okay. Okay, I'll call you when I'm finished. Okay, I love you. After I finish, I will. Okay, you guys, and so I'm back. I was talking to my mom. I'm sorry, my mom was mailing a package for my baby. So, as a final expense agent, as a final expense broker, you focus on final expense. It's normally and is always a whole life product, with the exception of it also will have living benefits, right? So a lot of times you hear people talk about, oh, how expensive a final expense product is, maybe with Lincoln or maybe with Senior Life, but hear about the value, right? It's not just that it's expensive. They're just expensive to be expensive. They're expensive because they have additional value propositions or value add-ons that some other policies don't have. Besides those two companies, I've never heard of anybody offering funeral planning, helping to negotiate casket costs, helping to negotiate burial costs on your behalf. Meaning now that family member is not the one calling the funeral home, because what did most people do? Most people, when someone passes away, they take the policy, they take it to the funeral home. What does the funeral home do? They max out the funeral, they max out the insurance, right? And when they go and max out the insurance, what's left for the family? Nothing. But now on behalf of Senior Life or Lincoln Heritage, I'm just using those two companies as examples. They have somebody that's negotiating with the funeral home on your family member's behalf. And so now what if they get the funeral down from $18,000 to $12,000 and it was a $6,000 difference? Who gets that money? The family gets to keep that. So it's important when you're coming into the life and health insurance industry and you hear people talking about downing companies or downing products, understand the value, right? Because that's something that's not always said. You said, hi, this is very informative. I'm learning things I didn't know about. Thank you. You're so welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. God bless you. And so you got to know when you're looking at becoming a final expense broker or becoming a life and health insurance broker, there's value on both sides. It's just a matter of what are you going to specialize in? What do you want to provide to your client? And not only that, some companies that specialize in final expense have guaranteed insurance, no matter the person's health. So when I tell you that I've never met so many younger people under 50 on medication, under 50 in high obesity, not just heavy set, but like obese on the weight charts. You're going to have some final expense companies that don't have weight charts. You're going to have some whole life products that guarantee insurability, right? So the person's not just limited to an accidental only policy. So to me, I don't feel like it's good for those that want to recruit into the final expense industry to dog out the brokerages. And I don't think it's right for the life insurance broker that writes with multiple carriers to dog out the final expense agent, because it all matters. It all makes sense, because what matters at the end of the day is what's best for the client. It's not what's best for us and what's going to pay us the most money. Yes, the money is important, but then we got into business to serve, and money and earning money is a byproduct of service, right? So that's my 2 cents. So if I say at the end, I've been here now, we're 18 minutes and 51 seconds in. If I had to say, okay, what's the end story, preacher? What would you do? I would do both. If I knew that I could hang my license with an IMO and I could write for different brokerages and have different options for my client, and I could also hang my license with a final expense company and have that option for my client that does want the funeral planning, they do want help with that, they are going to pay out quickly, they are going to have the money within that family's hand within 24 hours. They have peace of mind. I have peace of mind knowing that I sold a great product and service. That's important to me, right? So you got to think about, what do you want to specialize in? And there's riches and niches, right? Now, the last thing I'll share with you about those two things, so final expense and being a life insurance broker, the only way you're going to earn residuals is on a final expense or a whole life product, right? So if you're working with you're selling different products through the different carriers, let's say Mutual of Omaha, American Amicable, Americo, Aetna, Liberty Bankers, anybody that has a term product, you don't get paid residual or renewal money on term. You only get paid once, right? So when you see all these social media gurus talking about term products and buying these $100,000 and $200,000 and $300,000 and $400,000 policies, one, they're going to expire. Not that I wouldn't sell those. I think they're important and they do have a purpose. They have a purpose for someone that has a mortgage, kids, and they're in their earning years, and in the event of their death, it would be a catastrophic financial devastation to the family. That's an important policy. But if at all possible, it should be supported by a whole life product. I'm not here to teach an insurance class, but I'm just saying that's how I feel, right? And so when you sell term, you get paid once. Now, you get paid well, but you get paid once. When you sell a whole life policy, you get paid residually, right? That means that every time they make a payment, that means that every time every time they make a payment, if they pay up front, however it is, you're going to get paid, right? So those policies grow and build up over time. Final expense, you're going to earn residuals, you're going to earn renewals, right? The same with whole life. So residuals and renewals. So that's why I think it's important to pick to know what's your goal, what's your plan, what do you want to niche in when you come into the industry. Last thing I'll talk about is we see a lot of people online talking about IULs, right? Which I think are a great product if you understand them, right? But one thing you need to know is everybody's not going to qualify for an IUL. Right? I see it everywhere. IUL, be your own bank, do this, do that. But everybody won't qualify for an IUL. Why? Because if they have poor health, a part of an IUL, some IULs, I won't speak for all, part of them is term. So if the person can't qualify for a regular term product, they're not going to qualify for an IUL because their health doesn't allow them to qualify, right? So it's important that when you're looking for an organization to partner with, or an IMO to partner with, or a marketing group to partner with, and that you're not just doing it because they're talking about all the money and the wealth you can make from an IUL, because an IUL also can be detrimental to your client later on down the line. That's another story for another day, but it can be catastrophic, and you done left the business, you've gotten out, now they've lost all their money, because it has to be tracked, monitored, like it's special. Right. And so it's important to come into the business, and our fiduciary duty, we use that term a lot in real estate, right? My fiduciary duty is to the client to make sure that I've given them what they said they wanted to achieve, the goals that they said they wanted to achieve, but I've educated them to the point that they know what they're buying. They know that it meets their need or exceeds their need. And if I don't understand the product, it's better for me to refer it out. Right. So that's what I want to share with you is there's no good, bad, or ugly. It doesn't matter if you're final expense or if you're a broker. In Garlinda's personal opinion, hold on, let me hit skip ads. My personal opinion is you should do both. Now, if I had to make it, let me just say this. So the difference between what I've seen with Lincoln Heritage and Senior Life is with Lincoln Heritage, you're in different territories. Right. So as a life insurance broker, you can be licensed in all 50 states. I think with the exception, I can't be licensed in New York, I don't think. Right. But all 50 states, to include outer line territories like Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Right. So as a life insurance broker, I can be licensed anywhere. I can help a client anywhere. And if I'm licensed there, I can write business there. Now, some insurance carriers will require you to be where that person is to write the business. So if I'm in North Carolina and the person is in Virginia, the person in Virginia may have to come to North Carolina in order for me to write the business, or I may have to be in Virginia to write the business. Every carrier is different, so I won't go down that rabbit hole, right? But I can be licensed in all 50 states to do business. I can do business anywhere, right? But if you're with Lincoln, when I would speak for me, I don't want to say Lincoln Heritage as a whole. I'm just going to say Garlinda when Garlinda was at Lincoln Heritage. So the group that I was with, an incredible, anointed, powerful, wonderful group of people. We could write in 6 states, I believe. So think about that. If I want to offer a final expense product, I could only offer the final expense product in the 6 states that my organization or my group was within. And if I wrote outside of that or that group, or if I wrote outside of that state, I could probably lose my contract, right? I wouldn't do that anyway, but I'm just saying, you got to know going in, what are your limitations? I don't like limitations. I like everything big. I like excess. I like extra. I think more is better. More is more, right? So I didn't like the limitation of I can only do this product, which I think is a phenomenal product, only in this area. Right. I don't know about Senior Life and whether or not they have territories or districts. Somebody could probably answer that for me, but I am interested in finding out. Right. So I think those are the things that are important that I didn't know to ask initially because I didn't know enough about the insurance company when I came in 4 years ago. I didn't know to ask those questions. Well, now I know. So when you know better, you do better. So as you're looking at the information and you're trying to decide and you want to make your decision, that's what you look at, and don't chase the high comp. Okay. I say that, cautiously, but when you chase money, sometimes you can ignore the fine print. When you chase money, you can ignore the fact that you may be joining people that lack integrity, right? When you chase the comp, you may be thinking this is going to be great. You're going to make what they make, but if you don't get the help, you're not going to make it, right? So you want to make sure that you go to a team, into a group, into an organization where you're going to get help. Right? Because especially if you haven't sold before and or if your sales were low. And I wasn't a top seller at in my organization when I first got here, right? I was a top seller at Symmetry. When I came to Family First Life, I was not a top seller, but I did good for me. I sold part-time. And so in the insurance industry, I've netted $40,000, right? And I think in my chargebacks, I've had to pay back about $12,000. So what does that leave? Y'all, I can't add. Let's get a calculator. 40 minus 12. I've netted $28,000 in my sales, or a little bit over, maybe 35 in the last year, right? So that's not bad money part-time. I was working less than 5 hours a week, right? And so think about what is your strength and your skill set. I'll end on this. I know I keep saying that, but I'll end when the Holy Spirit tells you. And how about that? You got to know what your strength and your skill set is. I don't want to just do virtual sales. So when you're interviewing companies to go with, you want to ask them, is it virtual or is it in person, or can I do both? Can I build a referral business? Because every team is different, because every leader leading that team is different. So what you want to find out is, what are the goals of that leader? Right? I'm somebody that in person, I'm going to crush it. Over the phone, I'm going to crush it as well, but maybe not as well as in person. Right? So you got to figure out where your strengths lie. Now, can I master that skill set? Yes. Do I want to get better? Yes. Am I going to get better? Absolutely. But these are how the percentages kind of work out with phone and in person. I would say 30 to 50% if you're new, and if you're not that great. 30 to 50% chance of closing on the phone. But then when you're in person, you have a 50 to 70% chance of closing in person. Why? Because the person can see that you're real. They can touch you. They can hear your voice inflection. They can see that you're genuine. They can, some people are visual, right? So you got to figure out what your skill set is and where your strengths are. And my strengths lie in person. Although I can crush it over the phone, I'm not crushing it over the phone like I am in person, right? I have about a 38% to 40% close rate on the phone. But in person, I have a 70, 80% close rate, okay? And if it's a referral, it's 100% close rate. So then you want to ask the person that you're interviewing with, or that you're thinking about partnering with, what is the expectation of attending meetings? Because when I tell y'all that some of these organizations like to meet for the meeting of the next meeting, and I have not worked a regular corporate job or had I don't want to say real job, because owning a business is like multiple jobs. But I've not worked for someone else physically maybe 3 times, right? Because I am an entrepreneur. That means that I need freedom. I want flexibility. I can't, so anything that I do, I want to do it for the glory of the Lord, and I want to have the freedom to do it. And so, do I think it's important to attend team meetings? Yes. Can I always attend a team meeting? No. Do I think it's important to attend team trainings? Yes. Do I always attend team trainings? No. Right. But I wish they were recorded. Right. Do I need rah? No, I'm self-motivated. So this is a business that when you come in, you're going to need to be self-motivated. No one is going to be getting you out of bed. No one is going to say you need to go do it. No one's going to say you have to do it. But you need to know what the expectations are. And I didn't ask that question initially, right? I didn't know that someone was going to expect me to be at meetings all day, every day, or to be on Zooms and in Zoom rooms a significant part of the day when the majority of my full-time business, which is real estate, is out. Right. So therefore, it looks like I'm not a team player if I'm not showing up to meetings when really I don't have the time to show up to all the meetings because I'm out with a client and I choose to work my insurance business in the evening and on the weekends. Right. So you want to know what the expectation is. So therefore, you're not pigeonholed into working with an organization or a team and looking like you're not consistent or looking like you're not a team player because it didn't fit what you thought how it was going to be. Okay. So as you start interviewing and as you start researching, find those things out because it matters. It has to be a good fit for your lifestyle, for your family, for what you want to do with it and for where you want to go. Okay. So my goal, and I will literally end on this, is we're building a large organization. Right. So we're building across different states and we're building a large organization. Again, I'm with Family First Life and I see good, bad, and ugly about Family First Life. People talk about the leadership. There are so many organizations within Family First Life that you can find one that fits your needs. It's like anything. If you go to the library, you're not going to like all the books. Right. If you look and see who's selling real estate in my market alone, there's probably I'm in 3 markets. There's over 6,000 brokers. So when you hear someone say real estate agents suck, are you talking about all 6,000 of us, right? Or are you talking about the one you had a bad experience with? And so that's how it is when you're looking for companies. Interview. I didn't interview either. Now, when I'm thinking about adding the final expense company back to my portfolio of business, I'm interviewing. I'm asking the tough questions, the hard questions, and if they can't answer the questions, I'm on to the next person. Why? Because now I know what I want. Now I know where I'm growing to. Now I know what's possible. Now I know the potential, and now I know where to go, right? So my name's Garlinda Price. Again, I'm the broker and owner of Fusion Insurance Group. I want to thank you for taking the time to be here with me. I did put a Calendly link in the description box down below. If you want to schedule a time to talk and you have questions, I'm looking for licensed and non-licensed brokers. And if you don't have a license and you want to get your license and you want to partner with us, we do have a free link for the class, but we only give that free link out to people that are going to join our team. Right? It's not like we can just be out here like the government giving out free cheese, right? I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm just saying like there's some what's the word I'm looking for? Parameters around the free insurance link that I give out. Now, other people may just give it out, but I'm not doing that, right? Because we are literally building a team and an organization of like-minded individuals that want to grow, that want to have great success, that want to have money, that want better for them and their family, and that know that this is not get rich quick. Okay, because it's not. This is not an industry where can you make great money fast? Yes. But can you get wealthy overnight? Wealth takes time. Even the word of God says that, right? It says money earned little by little grows quickly. But when you try to haste to get the money, it makes wings and fly away. That's exactly what the word of God says. And that's what we live by. I'm not trying to be churchy. I'm just telling you the model I live by. Okay. So again, my number is 910-494-7798. Again, that may be in the description box, but if not, shoot me a text, right? If you give me a call and I don't answer, leave a message. I will call you back. So God bless you guys. And I'll talk to you soon. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the top of the life and health insurance industry. Bye.